In the midst of National Day celebrations, Malaysia is rocked by shocking news. In just 20 minutes, a gang of thieves steal over $3 million worth of gold bullion from the country's most secure cargo warehouse.
Kejadian ini berlaku di tempat yang kawalannya ketat. Jadi untuk penetrate ke kawasan ini memerlukan satu perancangan yang baik.
It's a crime unlike any other.
The public was taken aback. How could this happen?
The police launch a nationwide manhunt and soon realize they are up against the most cunning criminals in the country.
They moved smartly. The way they talk was very smart, and the way they behave was very smart.
But with Malaysia's most renowned criminal investigators hot on their trail, the gang can only run so far. This is the story of Malaysia's most daring gold heist.
Suasana menjelang perayaan Hari Kebangsaan terus terasa. Sebaik sahaja jam besar di bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad Perteting.
It's August 31st, 1994. Malaysians are preparing for the nation's 37th National Day celebrations. The Royal Malaysian Police are preoccupied with security arrangements for this big annual event. But at 5 a.m., alarming news interrupts their preparations. Investigating Officer Azizan Anan remembers that fateful night.
Saya telah dimaklumkan bahawa ada satu kejadian rompakan telah berlaku di kawasan kargo lapangan terbang antarabangsa Subang. Kejadian seumpama ni dalam perkhidmatan tempoh perkhidmatan saya tak pernah berlaku pun kerana kawasan ini adalah kawasan larangan. Jadi untuk penetrate ke kawasan ini memerlukan satu perancangan yang baik.
The cargo area is reputed to be Malaysia's most secure compound, but it is reported that $3.5 million worth of gold bullion has vanished. Police rush to the scene. They discovered that 3 security guards had been overcome and tied up. The guards have a strange tale to tell. They say the warehouse thieves were policemen. Azizan's brother, Assistant Investigating Officer, Superintendent Amidan Anan, is skeptical.
I request we should see the CCTV now.
When Amidan examines the CCTV footage, it looks at first as if the guards might be right. But to this policeman's trained eye, something is definitely amiss.
Body language, the hand language was totally not a policeman. These are not policemen. They are purely robbers and well-organized robbers.
So well organized that it only takes the imposters 20 minutes to enter the compound and then disappear with the gold. More importantly, they knew to strike when security was at its lowest, with most of the airport personnel on leave to celebrate the national holiday. For the police on the scene, the heist looks like a criminal masterwork.
Ada ketika itu saya dapati memang tak ada kumpulan atau geng yang sanggup atau berani membuat perkara atau rompakan sebeginilah.
Police conclude that the only criminals capable of such a large-scale, perfectly executed heist would be an international syndicate.
We don't believe that the local did it. We don't believe.
As police try to piece together the identity of these cunning gold thieves, the story breaks in the press. Malaysians are in shock.
When the gold heist hit the news, it was reported over the television, it got extensive coverage and all that, and the public was taken aback. How could this happen? Not because of the crime, they expect crime to happen, but like this, in this size and manner, wow. And everybody was asking who, what, where. They want to know all this.
The loss of so much bullion destined for Malaysia's biggest banks becomes a national scandal. Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad makes his feelings clear.
Soal perasaan tanggungjawab, saya beberapa kali dah tekan betapa pentingnya kita berasa bertanggungjawab.
There was a strong criticism from the then Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir. He was talking about the breach of security of these important places, and among them critical for the entrance and exit point of any countries, airports. If a cargo can be breached, what about the perimeter of the country itself?
Perdana Menteri ketika itu ada membuat komen mengatakan bahawa kalau jongkong emas boleh hilang di LTAB itu, tak mustahil kapal terbang pun boleh hilang. Jadi ini satu tamparan yang hebatlah kepada kita untuk betul-betul bertungkus lumus daripada segala tenaga yang kita ada untuk cuba menyelesaikan kes rompakan ini.
Shamed by the Prime Minister's criticisms, the Royal Malaysian Police set up an undercover task force to track down the gold thieves, whoever and wherever they are.
We have to prove that we can settle the case. That was our determination. From a state task force, it became a national task force.
The task force is led by Malaysia's most renowned policemen, the legendary Anand brothers.
They were the force to be reckoned with. And if you have Azizan and Hamidun as the task force, if you are a criminal, you don't want even to bat an eyelid to sleep. You don't even want to sleep because you know these people will hunt you down. They won't sleep, they won't eat. They will be trailing you with such intensity and passion until you are caught and apprehended.
The brothers' dedication to their work often takes them away from their homes and families.
Sometimes we have never been back for about 1 week. Why? Because we have to be on the ground. Any small information is big to us.
Yet even with this meticulous attention to detail, they can't find sufficient evidence to pin down any possible international suspects. So Amidan and Azizan decide to switch their focus to local gangs, and they begin reviewing all high-value robbery cases committed in Malaysia.
Selain daripada apa yang kes kita siasat di LTAB ini, terdapat juga berlaku di kawasan Penang, di kawasan Perak, di kawasan Kuala Lumpur.
The team finds that other well-organized high-value heists have been conducted across Malaysia, all with an identical modus operandi. Every time, the perpetrators have impersonated authority figures just as at Subang Airport.
In a lot of investigation, all the witnesses say is that they were in police uniform. They were in the road transport department's uniform. They were in a custom uniform. Interesting turning point in the investigation.
This gang has been on the police radar for years, but their latest exploit amazes even top investigators like the Anand brothers.
Kita memang dah ada buka kes terhadap kumpulan ini lah. Kumpulan ini main kepada dua aktiviti ini, pecah gudang dengan hijacking untuk merompak LTAB ini di kawasan kargo ini. Memang kita tak yakin dia orang boleh buat.
When Azizan reviews police records in more detail and interviews the victims of previous heists, a profile begins to emerge. The police take full advantage of this breakthrough. Now, they begin to flesh out the identity of the probable gold thieves.
Kebanyakan saksi-saksi atau mangsa yang terlibat dalam kejadian ini mengatakan rupa mamak. Jadi kita namakan kumpulan geng mamak.
The mama means that they have the Indian look, and in Malaysia the mama are the Indian Muslim. That's why we coded this group as the mama group.
Now that they have identified the likely identity of the gold thieves, the task force reveals its findings to the public.
they had been able to deduce that this particular crime can only be executed by one gang, the Mama gang.
We were damn happy like hell. Damn happy.
The police now know the identity of the gang they believe is responsible for the biggest gold heist in Malaysia's history. But will the task force be able to catch the cunning Mama gang? Malaysian police are on the trail of a daring gang suspected of stealing over $3.5 million worth of gold. The cunning Mama gang is led by the Abu Bakar brothers. A dedicated undercover task force has been assembled at the Royal Malaysian Police Headquarters, led by top investigators Amidan and Azizan Anan. Painstakingly, Amidan and his team begin to build a detailed profile of the Mama gang and their unique modus operandi. A remarkable criminal story slowly emerges. The Abu Bakar brothers grew up in Kuala Kangsar, a small rural town in Malaysia's heartland. Their parents, of mixed Sri Lankan and Malaysian origins, were middle-class entrepreneurs who were reputed to keep a tight grip on the family cash flow. But their sons yearned for more.
During those days, money were controlled by the parents. They did not necessarily contribute the monies or give out the monies, hand out the monies to the kids. So the kids want to buy something and they can't. So the only easier way for them to achieve what they want, to fulfill their quest, then was to steal.
The brothers started small, but as they matured, they became more ambitious.
You steal rambutans, coconuts and all that stuff. And then from there onwards, their career begins professionally in crime, right? When they started to steal and becoming a fence to other people.
When the Abu Bakar brothers emerged from their teens, their hometown was no longer a big enough arena for their growing ambitions, and they graduated to Malaysia's booming capital, Kuala Lumpur. There, more lucrative pickings awaited them. The gang quickly made a name for itself, even though operating in new, unfamiliar territory.
Sejak tahun 80-an lagi dia nak mula. Mungkin secara kecilan, pecah rumah, pecah kedai.
The brothers made a killing. Their takings rose into the hundreds of thousands and eventually millions. But these early successes were merely rehearsals for what was to be the greatest heist in Malaysian history.
From my experience, in 94, this group was considered as most well-organized group.
From their first forays into crime, the brothers had been refining a unique modus operandi, the Mamak trademark.
They ensure that people knows it is their trademark. They have their own ways, distinctively different from others.
Sebelum melakukan rompakan ini, dia suka membuat penyamaran, sama ada memakai uniform polis, uniform JPJ.
Being skilled impersonators, the Mamak gang's weapon of choice is always the art of persuasion over violence.
They don't do firearm, they don't associate themselves with violence and weapon. They just impersonate authority.
This is a cunning strategy. The brothers know that not using weapons or violence would work in their favor should they ever be caught.
Say for instance, you committed murder, drugs offenses is not bailable. You're going to stay in prison, you're going to stay in jail until you're being sentenced and then go straight to jail. Bailable offense means that you can be bailed out pending the charge to be mentioned in court.
This point of law is not lost on the members of the gang. For the insolent Abu Bakars, bail offers another chance to get back to work.
For the first time in the history of criminal landscape in Malaysia, you come across a group who plan their execution, the way of the crime, how to get away, how to spend, and to the point that if you get caught, who is going to bail you? So they put aside some money for that. This is not the criminal that we used to have in the past. And these are a new batch breed of criminal.
Getting the measure of this new criminal type is a challenge for the task force. But as information pours into the police headquarters, the organization of the Mamak gang comes slowly but surely into focus, complete with names and faces. The gang is led by the tight-knit trio of Sharif, Roslan, and Yusuf Abu Bakar. The three brothers will be Amidan's top targets. If he can bring the trio to justice, he will break the Mamak gang for good.
We have already identified, no doubt about that, but the matter of when and how to get this group.
Armed with this highly detailed profile, the police intensify their search. In the days following the heist, Amidan and Azizan relentlessly hunt for clues, exhausting one lead after another.
I still remember we just arrived back in Selangor. We had even turned off the engine. There was another call, you have to proceed to the north. We were directed to go back to Penang Island to stake out an old house. We are damn tired because we have not taken our bath for 5 days. But information is information, and that particular information was very, very important.
Energized, the task force follows this lead to a quiet neighborhood on Penang Island, 300 kilometers north of Kuala Lumpur. After an exhausting 3-hour drive, they finally arrive at the location they suspect is connected to the gold heist gang.
When we did some investigation around, we believe that house was the safe house, temporary safe house for this particular group.
The undercover investigators lie low and stake out the alleged safe house.
We conducted about 3 days of observation. At the time, we could feel, we could smell, that could be the house.
But when nobody is seen entering or leaving the house for over 3 days, the police have no choice but to call off the operation.
The house was radiated. There was evidence. Evidence like the wrapper of this gold bar. I don't think that they know that we are coming. That's their luck at that time. I believe that was their luck at that time.
Many months later, police would discover just how close they actually came to breaking the case at the stakeout in Penang. But for now, the painstaking work of gathering clues continues. The police need to concretely link the Mamak gang to the gold robbery. But there's a big problem.
Macam jongkong emas ni, dia ada tanda daripada mana pengeluaran jongkong emas ni, dan dia ada serial number. Jadi apabila mereka telah merompak jongkong emas ni, mereka cuba sedaya upaya nombor satu untuk menghakiskan tanda-tanda ni.
With the serial numbers melted off, the gold bars will be untraceable. Months of investigation pass, and the gang is still on the run. The task force sets up roadblocks across the country, but there is no sign of the suspects. Then, the task force hears about a new Mamak-style raid on a cigarette warehouse.
Kejadian ini berlaku 3 atau 4 bulan selepas kejadian rompakan di LTAB ini. MO yang sama juga digunakan dalam kejadian ini. Daripada pengamatan kita terhadap CCTV di tempat kejadian ini, memang kita ada nampak lah salah seorang penjenayah tu ada memakai pakaian seragam.
They did a little mistake. They were in uniform, full uniform that is, but because the guard was sleeping at the time, they had to climb the fence.
Apabila kita nampak tu dan kita percaya ini adalah kumpulan geng Mamak.
The task force is certain that the Mamak gang has struck again. Despite their status as Malaysia's most wanted, the Mamak gang has no intention of laying low. The task force is under intense pressure to get results. Then, police have what seems like a lucky break.
All of a sudden, one of us spotted one of the guy.
Amidan sets off in pursuit in his own unmarked car. For the first time in months, police have one of the notorious gang members in their sights. But as Amidan's vehicle slides in right behind the Mamak gang, one of them looks Amidan straight in the eye from his rear-view mirror and speeds off to make a fast getaway.
This is added information to our task force that they were using high-powered car.
Amidan's conventional undercover car is no match for the Mamak gang's high-powered vehicle. As the gang speeds off, one of them mischievously waves goodbye to Amidan. This is bad news for the supposedly undercover task force.
I believe the driver were waving the hand at me. I said, oh God, I am going to go into a big trouble.
That taunting wave can only mean one thing. The Mamak gang recognizes Amidan. Once again, the Mamak gang is one step ahead of the undercover task force. The profilers have been profiled, and the investigation is suddenly in crisis. The police must now raise their game to find out how the Mamak gang is always staying one step ahead. Months have gone by, and the cunning Mamak gang responsible for Malaysia's biggest gold heist is still at large. 300 kilos of gold are missing, and Malaysia's police task force is in crisis. During a high-speed chase, the task force has discovered that the identity of one of their lead investigators, Amidan Anan, has been blown.
Never mind, we had identified that they are using high-powered car. With the high-powered car, they can run as fast as possible. But how long can they run?
The gang has somehow been keeping one step ahead of the task force. Police must now swiftly change their strategy.
Jadi kalau kita tak tukar atau ubah strategi ini, kita akan ketinggalan. Siapa yang dicamkan oleh ahli kumpulan ini, kita tarik sementara dulu dan kita gantikan dengan pegawai atau anggota baru.
The new game plan has immediate success. One of the task force units spots Roslan Abu Bakar, a top man in the Mamak gang. The arrest is the task force's biggest breakthrough to date. Roslan is immediately subjected to intense interrogation by lead investigators Amidan and Azizan Anan.
Seterusnya apabila Roslan ni berjaya ditangkap, kita buat soal siasat, dan hasil daripada soal siasat pendedahan Roslan ni, kita telah pula berjaya menangkap Mamak Yusof yang ketika itu bersembunyi di Melaka.
With Yusof, the second of the three brothers now in custody, the task force is starting to unravel the mystery of how the Mamak gang has proven to be so elusive.
At that time of arrest, there was a transceiver, a scanner with him. It is like this. It was next to him. He was holding this. Then, investigators began to understand how they managed to evade the roadblocks and every possible ways of police trying to cut them off immediately after the crime, because information is power to them, and they use information electronically.
The police now have two Mamak gang leaders in their custody, and they hope that it will only be a matter of time before the rest are captured as well.
Dalam tempoh sebulan setengah atau 2 bulan, kita telah berjaya menangkap ahli-ahli kumpulan ini, seramai lebih kurang dalam 20 orang, tidak termasuk Syarif ketika itulah.
Sharif, the eldest Abu Bakar brother, it would seem, is the ringleader and proves the most elusive. His gang is a close-knit family operation. When When the task force rounds up the other suspects, they find many are cousins of the three brothers. Police also uncover 4 gold bars in the process, but as they feared, the serial numbers on the bars have been melted off. The brothers seem much too confident, and as if to gloat, during police interrogations they prove surprisingly keen to disclose details of their organization. They willingly give a blow-by-blow account of how they operate.
Roslan was alleged to be doing all the impersonation, the talks and all that, while Yusuf will be the one, the quiet type, who will follow whatever being said or planned by the elder brothers.
But apart from how they work, the investigators also learn more about how the brothers play.
They are not a shabby dressed criminal. They wear suits, they wear branded items, and they drive fancy cars.
The Abu Bakars were the flamboyant high rollers of Malaysia's crime scene. It was a distinctive style, uncommon amongst criminals who would usually keep an inconspicuous profile.
They look very smart. They move smartly. The way they talk was very smart, and the way they behave was very smart.
It wasn't all show. They also had the money to back up their extravagant lifestyle.
We used to have in Malaysia a 1,000 note, so they have 25, 30 of it at one go.
It was clear that the brothers enjoyed flaunting their success. They had come a long way from stealing coconuts in Kuala Kangsar.
What they want is fast and easy money. They want a lovely life, easy life. They want to stay in a posh hotel. They want to drive posh cars.
In order to maintain their glitzy lifestyle, the Abu Bakar brothers needed to pull off bigger and better jobs. It was this thirst for the high life that inspired them to carry out the greatest heist in Malaysian history.
I think why they want to be legend is simply because of the namesake, reputation and all. When you have a reputation, you gain the reputation by being the best organized crime families. People will give you respect.
With Yusuf and Roslan Abu Bakar in custody, the task force concentrates on building a case against them for the $3.5 million gold heist. But they are still unable to crack a crucial question. Where is the gold?
In fact, the federal task force tried every look and angle to have the gold bar recovered early, but it was very late. According to one of the brothers, they melted the gold bar before selling to buyers.
It appears the formula for Mama Gang is quite simple. You do your research, you hit the place, dispose the item, get the money. This is what they've been doing all the time. Boom, 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 boom. There's no lapse in it. There's no lagging of time.
But investigators are relieved to finally be able to get a clearer picture of the puzzle. Further interrogations confirm what police have long suspected. The key gang member still at large is the kingpin. Sharif Abu Bakar was the mastermind behind the gold heist.
One of the brothers played the major role in any of the project. The day they conduct the heist, this brother will be staying outside of the area and watching what the two other brothers and cousins are doing, because they take cue from this other brother.
If I can put this into perspective of a sports team, the brothers, Sharif, will play the role as a team owner. The team manager will be Roslan, while the captain will be Yusuf. So that's how they operate their organization structures of these gangs. It was discovered through investigation by the police, and it was even reported in the media.
The work of the task force is far from over. Will police be able to hunt down the most cunning and elusive thief of them all before he masterminds yet another crime? By early 1995, the Royal Malaysian Police have arrested many of the gang members they suspect are behind Malaysia's biggest robbery, the theft of nearly $3.5 million worth of gold bullion. But they have yet to find any of the missing gold and the mastermind behind the heist, Sharif Abu Bakar. Brothers Roslan and Yusuf were captured within months of the heist and are still in police custody awaiting trial. Authorities are desperate to find their ringleader brother, Sharif, and bring all three to trial. But it's been nearly a full year since Malaysia was rocked by this large-scale robbery, and authorities can't wait any longer.
After the incident, we will call the government need the police to solve the case as soon as possible. We have to prove something to our local forces that we can settle the case.
Brothers Roslan and Yusuf are put on trial, even though Sharif is still at large. The two brothers and their fellow accomplices are brought before the Sessions Court in Petaling Jaya. They are charged along with Sharif and 9 others who are still at large with the theft of 300 bars of gold bullion. Authorities are convinced that this is their last chance to break the Mamak gang. If convicted, Roslan and Yusuf could face up to 20 years in prison. But as prosecutors prepare their case, the Mamak gang pulls one more ace from their sleeve. The Abu Bakar brothers hire one of Malaysia's top criminal defense lawyers, the legendary Datuk Kumarindran. Before the trial even begins, Datuk Kumarindran has a chance to prove his worth. Prosecutors, hoping the gang won't be able to post bail, request for a record-breaking sum.
When I was retained, they had already been charged, and the court judge had imposed a bail of $500,000 on each of the accused person, and it was exorbitant at that point of time. In my 24 years of experience then, I've never come across a case where, for a robbery case, where $500,000 was imposed as bail.
Datuk Kumarindran proves his worth by getting the bail reduced to 100,000 ringgit. Yusuf takes advantage of this and posts bail with his wife as his guarantor. Despite this setback, the prosecution begins to present its case to the court. The first witnesses to be called, the Subang airport guards, but none are able to positively identify the Abu Bakar brothers.
I found that the prosecution had very weak evidence because nobody could identify them. There was no fingerprints left by any members at the scene of crime.
The prosecution turns next to the gold bars recovered during the investigation.
All the identification marks were completely obliterated because it's in the midst of smelting. So none of the witnesses or agents of the owners of the gold bar from America and as well as the insurance agents were able to identify that this gold bar which the police recovered were the very gold bars which was the subject matter of the heist in Subang Airport.
For 5 days, the prosecution's evidence is questioned and cast into doubt. Then, on day 6, the prosecution produces a new witness, their trump card, a gang member who took part in the Subang heist and who has agreed to testify against his former bosses, the Abu Bakar brothers.
He had implicated Yusuf, Sharif and Roslan in the trial.
The witness is the prosecution's last chance. Having turned against the brothers, the witness then gives a blow-by-blow account of how Malaysia's biggest robbery was planned and carried out. The expectant Malaysian public can finally hear the inside story of how the Mamak gang executed their daring heist, the theft of nearly $3.5 million of gold. The brothers put their most ambitious plan in motion months before the robbery. Their vast network of underworld contacts tipped them off that a valuable cargo was scheduled to arrive at Subang Airport.
One of the brothers had the information that at a certain time, a certain shipment of gold would come from America through Hong Kong, and it'll be stored there before it is delivered.
For the Abu Bakar brothers, the gold shipment was their big chance to make the criminal big time. After conducting so many robberies, they have finally honed their craft.
Before conducting the gold heist, they conducted research, they conducted surveys, they made inquiries.
There wasn't any Google map then. Yeah, you have to do everything physically. So the Mama gang was known to do all this.
Nothing is left to chance. Months before the hit, the gang lined up dealers to sell off the gold.
When they are potential buyers only, they will conduct the heist or robbery.
Next, the Mamak gang familiarized themselves with the layout of the airport complex, mapping out every detail.
They set up observation point and OP using binoculars to look at the movement, the crowds, what kind of safety system in place, what kind of reaction will it be. It took months for them to plan that heist.
As their plans developed, the Mamak gang realized the masterstroke was all in the timing. The gold would be in place on Independence Day.
They also found out that 31st being the National Day, the number of armed guards would be very few because they were wanted for the parade.
They had also identified a key weakness in the airport security.
The guardhouse is manned by the personnel from the Malaysia Airport Berhad. It wasn't by a policeman, it wasn't by supplementary auxiliary policeman.
This was the loophole the brothers had been searching for.
The plan was to act as police officers and having to go to the go-down to inform the security that they have instructions to take this gold.
The gang rehearsed over and over, so when the time came, the heist would run like clockwork. Then, finally, the finishing touch. The costumes were meticulously assembled by Roslan. He had the most experience impersonating authority figures.
In fact, Roslan was an actor. He's an actor by, I would say, born as an actor. He could take up in any role.
After months of planning, it was the eve of Malaysia's National Day. Most of the country was preparing for the next day's celebrations, while the Mamak gang prepared to make their move. As crowds celebrated at the stroke of midnight, the Mamak gang was ready to create fireworks of their own. They donned their carefully prepared disguises and approached the front gate of the Subang Airport cargo warehouse. With security reduced as well as distracted by the ongoing celebrations, the gang attempted to pass through the first round of security. 2 cars, one driven by Yusuf, approached the gate. Roslan was in the car with him.
As he approached the first security guard, the security guard there saluted. In fact, Roslan, genuinely believing that he was a police officer.
Finally, the gang made their way to the warehouse, where they faced the last set of guards. Roslan brazenly informed them that he was on official government business.
They have some information that illegal goods are coming from overseas.
The security guards willingly led Roslan and the others into the warehouse. The gang waited until they were inside to reveal their true intentions. The operation proceeded with calculated precision. The guards were overwhelmed by the gang and then tied up. After neutralizing security, they quickly transported the gold bars in their original containers to the boot of their cars, a procedure rehearsed countless times before. In less than 10 minutes, they transferred 12 containers to their vehicles. Inside, a total of 300 kilograms of gold. Finally, the gang's convoy drove back through the front gate.
They go out the same way. Cunningly, one of them managed even to wave and salute the security personnel.
After 3 days, the Crown witnesses exposed the Mamak gang's dastardly plan in shocking detail. But he has not finished yet. Now he is asked to solve the last remaining puzzle. What happened to all that gold? In 1994, on the eve of Malaysia's Independence Day, nearly $3.5 million worth of gold bullion is stolen from Malaysia's International Airport Cargo Complex. A national police task force is assembled to find the thieves. Their prime suspects, the Mamak gang, led by the Abu Bakar brothers. 6 months later, the trial is underway for two of the brothers, Roslan and Yusof, while the elusive mastermind and eldest brother, Sharif, is still on the run. No trace of the gold bullion has ever been found. But in the first weeks of the trial, nothing goes right for the prosecution. The brothers' defense lawyer bats down much of the evidence.
I found that the prosecution had very weak evidence.
Then, a fellow gang member agrees to testify against the brothers. He reveals precisely how the audacious heist was carried out and begins to disclose what exactly happened to the gold bullion. It's a story as astonishing as the robbery itself. The Mamak gang drove out of Kuala Lumpur and headed for the island of Penang, using back roads to escape detection. Their first destination, a hideout in the popular beach resort of Batu Faringi. After a few days, they began moving from safe house to stay one step ahead of the police. There was a reason why the gang chose Penang.
Pulau Pinang inilah terdapatnya pengusaha emas yang besar di kawasan situ.
In order to dispose of their hoard of gold bars and find buyers, the Mamak gang needed to remove any sign that linked the gold to the Subang heist, so they melted off the identification markings on the bars. But the gang was not careful enough in covering their tracks. Only days after the heist, a lookout spotted members of the task force, led by Amida and Anan, near one of the safe houses.
When we did the stakeout, there was no movement in that particular house. They already left the house at that time.
The Abu Bakar brothers were forced to make a hasty retreat back to the mainland. After this setback, the gang headed back south and eventually disposed of the gold in the small towns of Kuala Kangsar and Kota Baru. With the gold either sold off or hidden away, the gang then dispersed.
They're well synchronized. They do A, then from point A, rob, buyer, sell, dispose, get the money, lay down. Well connected, well executed.
At the end of his testimony, the Crown witness positively identifies the Abu Bakar brothers as the gold heist gang. And he also explains how and why all that gold seemed to have disappeared. Now it's Datuk Kumarendran's job to cross-examine him.
My duty was to discredit him. He was an accomplice who was going to falsely incriminate my clients.
Before Defense Counsel Datuk Kumarendran can finish his cross-examination, the court is rocked by sensational news. The task force has caught Sharif, the Mamak gang mastermind. The prosecution asks to postpone proceedings, and Sharif's name is added to the charge sheet alongside the others on trial. At last, all three brothers are in the dock. With the evidence provided by the Crown witness, a conviction seems certain. But then, an astonishing turn of events. the all-important witness fails to appear in court. He has gone missing, never to be heard of again.
The Crown witness did not complete his evidence. He was in the midst of my cross-examination. So when he disappeared mysteriously, the prosecution could not close their case.
The prosecution is in disarray, but tries to recover from this disaster.
After a few adjournments, the prosecution asked for a number of adjournments to try to salvage their case. They couldn't do it.
The court has no choice but to discharge the Abu Bakr brothers, but it is not an acquittal. The Mamak gang has not been declared innocent.
If this Crown witness who mysteriously disappeared suddenly turns up and is prepared to give evidence, they could charge the Mamak gang, the three boys again, and the charge can proceed.
More than a decade has passed since the Crown witness was last seen, and nobody has ever been convicted for Malaysia's most daring gold heist.
A lot of people compare any big heist in Malaysia to that of the robbery at the Subang airport gold robbery, and any gang of robbers, they also likewise compare with the Mama gang. It went to this day.
During my serving time, that
Success rate. Why? Because you are able to arrest the criminal, you are able to bring the evidence, you are able to complete your investigation.